comedy in today's society has been mostly ruined. It's been ruined by woke Hollywood, by the woke politics that are taking place in our society today. And so you have very few comedians that we can really look at and say, hey, that person actually is speaking the truth. That person is not afraid of what's going to happen to them, of cancel culture, but are willing to actually go out there and be controversial and speak the truth and actually be funny, right? So you have this comedian, Rob Schneider. Many of you may have heard of him before, and he actually revealed a joke that made Trump say that he hated him and was not happy, right? So this is an interesting story here, and there's more to this that he kind of goes into with his bits and everything. But Rob Schneider looked to cancel culture with his illustrious stand-up comedy special, Rob Schneider Woke Up in America. So it's a hilarious kind of take on current events, on what's happening in our society today, what's happened over the last few years, and it debuted on Fox Nation earlier this week. So Snyder told Fox and Friends on Monday that the secret to modern comedy comes from appealing to the demand for someone who isn't afraid to push back against censorship and go kind of against the grain, right? And that's exactly what comedy needs right now. It's what made comedy great before, and it's the only thing that will continue to make it funny going forward. Right now, there's really hardly anything out there that's funny at all because you have people that are really honestly afraid to tell the truth, that are afraid to be controversial. So one of the things that he was mentioning is that we've lost our sense of what comedy is because people are too afraid to do it. And that's very clear and obvious by the way the society is going. So the result of that is that everyone is playing it safe, and safe comedy is like an oxymoron, right? I mean, if it's safe comedy, it's not comedy. It's not funny if it's safe. Really, what makes it funny is the fact that it's not safe. That's kind of one of the cornerstones of comedy, if you really call it that. So Snyder mentioned in the show that he actually voted for Trump a few times in 2016. Obviously, there's a joke there. But he was saying that it was in California, and he was writing on his kitchen counter. And he said, I had a ballot because, in California, they mail like 100 of them to you. Of course, he's joking there as well. And he says, I was just filling them out, not all of them, but, just didn't want to be a jerk. But, 3 or 4, 5 at the most, right? So he's kind of, making these things and making these statements in jest because of what's really going on, because of what we know happened in 2016 with all the ballots everywhere. So beyond voicing his support for the former president, of course, he shared that not only had he starred in the film Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, but he also has stories to tell about judging a Miss USA pageant in 2008 and was appearing on the Night Show with Jay Leno. So he brushed his shoulders with Trump both times, actually, in those situations. And during the latter instance, he called out by Jay Leno for a funny joke about the president backstage. So, of course, Trump is going to be, kind of not so good about dealing with jokes. We know how this works all the time, right? Of course, Trump tends to take things too seriously, and that's exactly what happened. So he said in a joke that the difference between me and Donald Trump is that when I got started, my dad didn't give me $40 million. So, it's an obvious joke. He's trying to be a comedian because that's what comedians do. And apparently that moment prompted Trump to call him a liar, and on more than one occasion, actually, as well. So in Rob Schneider's mind, everyone knows the answer that some claim only biologists can give, right? And he goes into another spiel about what is a woman. And he says that a woman is someone who gets mad at you for what you did 3 years ago, and that's a biological fact. So once again, going against the grain, really making jokes that right now would be considered as offensive, as something that you wouldn't be getting away with. I mean, right now, for a lot of people like that, you can't even make a career making jokes like that. So it's a pretty big deal that this guy's coming out here and being confident about it, saying the truth, really talking a big talk, but backing that up as well with these jokes. So he's making a series of jokes that were also subtly aimed at culture war battles fought over by what constitutes a woman. And like I said, and joking about the fact that their tires are actually curb feelers, and that men, and that they only basically exist to wake men up at 2 a.m. in the morning to kill spiders because they're too afraid to do it themselves. So, he's just going on about things and just kind of bringing up these stereotypes, and because a lot of things can be true to a certain degree, right? And either way, we all should be able to laugh together. But here's the thing that we take from good comedians, great comedians, and him as well. They go after everybody. Nobody is off limits. It doesn't matter if you're Trump. It doesn't matter if you're a woman, if you're black, white, whatever it is. He's going after everyone. And that's what we need in comedy, is where everybody can come together and laugh at the same stuff. Because it's still funny. It's still good. It helps us to be able to recognize and laugh at ourselves. And that's the problem that we have with the left. Things are far too serious. There's no point anymore where we can actually be able to joke amongst ourselves anymore, to be able to laugh at the very obvious things that are going on in our society. We must be a student, and we can't take these things as a joke at all. We can't laugh at these things. We must take everything way too seriously. But the left can't laugh. They can't make jokes. They don't even know how to be funny. And that's because of the way that they have led themselves in this direction. So the fact is, too, is that he's also, of course, an American-loving conservative who understands that Trump made great policies, and he gets it. He voted for him. So it's good for him to be speaking about all of the craziness, all the madness that's going on in Hollywood and our culture and in so many avenues in our world today. But the reality is that Hollywood has gone woke, but not all of Hollywood, right? Probably 99% of it has, but you're seeing some sparks, maybe some like a kind of light at the end of the tunnel, possibly, of some people that are actually willing to speak the truth, that are willing to laugh, that are willing to go against the grain. And I think people are going to start waking up to that and starting going after it, because that's what it's going to take. That's what it's going to take for a society to turn around, for us to be able to get back to where we were. But right now, we just have a woke liberal administration, and it's just infested Hollywood through and through. So with that being said, I thank you for watching this video, and I'll catch you on the next one.